Hey guys, welcome back to another cube draft. I missed the first pick, but we picked an Avacyn's Pilgrim. The thing that we're trying to wheel out of that pack is a Courser's Crucifix. I think that in a green base ramp deck, the only real card in this pack that I see is Confiscate, so I'm going to take that card. Pack 3, this Vital Force is just a really powerful card and one of the best 5s you can get in green, so I'm going to take that and hope to wheel the Elves. If I don't wheel the Elves, I can take the Woodfall Primus, and that's fine. Also, I apologize, I'm a little sick, so I'm going to try to get through this draft as best as possible, but it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Utopia Sprawl is just by far the best out of that pack, and I think we try to wheel the Acidic Slime. That's kind of the best card, next best card for us. Alright, so Verdant Catacombs, Thirst for Knowledge, Wickerbow Elder / Whisperwood Elemental. Whisperwood is the best card in that pack, but I'm going to take this Verdant Catacombs because we might need it for fixing. There's a Tamiyo here that's pretty obvious if we're in blue-green, which it seems that we are so far. We're not committed to blue-green, but Tamiyo is a really powerful thing to ramp into on 5. Again, one of the better 5s in the Simic deck. Alright, so Ash Barrens, Wall of Blossoms, Aethersphere Harvester. There's also a Lightning Greaves, which is a fine pick, but I think that Aethersphere Harvester is kind of where we want to be, because I think that we can wield this Wall of Blossoms. So if we take the Harvester, that gives us some life gain. I'm not that concerned about Ash Barrens here. It's just, it's a fine way of fixing, but it's not amazing, so... Okay, so there's a Windswept Heath that kind of stands out of this pack. There's also Decimator Provinces, but I think that we can wheel that. It's a rather large card. In Bolus's Clutches, another Confiscate type effect. I think Coercive Portal is a close second for me, but if we're pretty solidly in blue-green and not a third color, Confiscate is one of the better quote-unquote removal cards, so I think I'm going to take that. In this pack, I think we can take Karplusan Forest. That way, if we do splash a red, we can be in a better position. We didn't wheel the Elves, so we take Woodfall Primus. Brushland is fine if, again, we end up splashing white. Great. If not, whatever. Wickerbow Elder, Polluted Delta, Wall Blossoms. Wall Blossoms wheeled. Pretty much nothing else in that little triad of packs matters that much. Yeah, so Wickerbow Elder is a sideboard card for us, but it could make the main board if we don't get their unplayables. This is a pretty obvious Birds of Paradise. The rest of this pack is good. There's an Ewit that we could get back, but I think that Birds is just beyond the rest of that pack in terms of power level. This pack isn't great. There's an Elvish Piper, Glimmer of Genius. I don't really think we're a Piper deck, so I'm going to take this Glimmer. We don't really have any 4s yet. Not that matters that much, but... Okay, so here we have Control Magic, Regrowth, and Wall of Roots. Torrential Gearhope, we have no instance yet, so that's not really useful. Oh, I'm sorry, we have Glimmer of Genius. But everything else is kind of not useful. There's a counterspell, but I think that Wall Roots is the right pick considering that we wield both the other steel effects. So yeah. Again, I apologize. I'm kind of sniffly today, so I'm trying to edit those things out, but you know, it's tough. So miscalculation, negate, strip mine, Ramanap excavator. I think we can take the strip mine and wield the Ramanap excavator. We have a decent amount of fetches already with Polluted Delta, Verdant Catacombs, and Windswept Heath, if I remember right. So yeah. Boreal Druid is stellar. We can maybe wield at Garruk. It's kind of the goal here. But we do need the early ramp in order to make this deck work, so we can't really risk not taking that. There's an Enraze Forerunners here, but I think the Plow Under is more powerful. And if we don't wield the Forerunners, as we didn't the Decimator, we still have other picks in this pack with Farhaven Elf and Nullhide. So, Palaka Worm, Song of the Dryads, Rampant Growth, Woodland Bellower. I think Rampant Growth is the best of those. Palaka Worm is a fine payoff card, and Bellower is alright, not amazing. Okay, so some Mana Rocks and a Hornet Queen. I'm just going to take this Hornet Queen. We do need some ramp payoffs, and if we wheel that Enraze Forerunners, that card's going to be a beast. So, I mean, of course, it's not going to change types to be a beast, but it will, you know, it will be massive flying insects. So, Birdwing Mare, doesn't really matter, that pick. If we ended up in, like, Bant, somehow, maybe it's okay against Control. Probably not amazing, though. Control Magic and Regrowth Wield. I think that Control Magic is more powerful. I don't think it's better. I think that green is more or less our base color, but I think that Control Magic is the better card. So, but the double pip is hard. We did wield the Ramanap Excavator, so we do get to potentially Crucible Snake people to death, which is kind of fun. That combo, by the way, is really fair in my cube. There's an Avenger, but I think that Sky Diamond is better. We do want the blue fixing. We don't have a lot of dorks that do that for us. But the Crucible Snake Strip Mine combo is really slow, and there's no way of playing extra lands in my cube each turn. So, you know, it's a way to keep your opponent on relatively low mana without being busted or anything. We could take Scavenging Ooze here. We could take Scalding Tarn, Overgrowth, Lifecrafter's Bestiary. I think that we'll wield a Bestiary. I don't think that a lot of people are very high on that. So I'm going to take this Scavenging Ooze just because I have seen some Reanimator cards, and I have certainly passed them since we're not in that archetype. And I think that Scavenging Ooze gives us some legs there, and it also gives us kind of an early threat, which is reasonable. So here's Guardian Project, the other Bestiary. I don't think we really need it. We can take Prog Sphinx, or Steel Hellkite, or Oath of Jace. I'm leaning towards this Oath of Jace. We have 2 Planeswalkers right now, and having some early draw spell can potentially kind of dig you out of some situations. As well as just craft your hand a little better. So I'm going to take that. There's a Mural Battlesphere. There's a Thragtusk. There's a Brainstorm. I think that Thragtusk is kind of the best. Opt is really low on my list of cantrips. Mirror Battlesphere is a close second for me, I think, between this and Thragtusk. But Thragtusk is just a really, really solid 5 that makes it hard for your aggro opponents to beat you. There's a Sunken Hollow here, which actually allows our Verdant Catacombs to fix for blue, which is important since we don't really have a lot of the right fetches for this. We don't have a Misty, and we don't have a Breeding Pool. So currently our fetches don't really do as much fixing as we'd like them to normally, so that's a really big pickup for us. Muldrifter, and I don't think it's close there. There's Nature's Lore, Troll Ascetic, Shimmer of Possibility. I think Troll Aesthetic is good because it gives us some legs against Control. This is a really easy Yav Coast. I mean, Frost Titan is close, but we have a lot of good late game, and we just don't really need it. So yeah, I'd rather have the fixing here. Flooded Grove, more fixing, excellent. I think that Verdurous Gear Hulk is fine, but I think that being able to cast the spells that I currently have will allow us to win the game a lot of the time. Lifecrafter's Bestiary is a pretty good pickup for me. I'm going to put the Stagtuscan Muldrifter in. Put in Oath of Jace. It seems fine. Not amazing, but it probably gets the job done. There's Dungeon Geists. There's a Steel Hellkite, which I'm kind of leaning towards since we don't have a ton of removal being in blue-green. It's not really a removal suite, and we didn't get a lot of counter magic. So, because we passed the counter magic, that was a conscious choice I made. Disenchant in case we splash white and we really need extra artifact slash enchantment hate. Marble Diamond is fine. We're not running it though. If we do end up splashing white out of the board, when I say splash white, at this point I'm talking out of the board for a certain matchup, we could bring Marble Diamond in, and that gives us another white source. So, and Secret of the Way is our pack 15. Okay, cool. So 24 cards right now. I think I'm pretty happy with this main board. Let's see if there's maybe something that we could add in that would make us happier. Don't really think so. I think we just fix our mana base. So we've got. Oh, I think I put in the Windswept Heath, and I don't think I need it. I could fidget a little bit with these lands and do like 3 and 6, but I think it's better to do 6 and 4 and just cut the Windswept Heath. Because it doesn't actually help fix my lands, whereas like Polluted Delta and Verdant Catacombs, Delta mostly because we don't have that much blue, but Catacombs because it can fix for both of our colors. So I think that that's fine. So yeah, let's submit this and get into our first round. All right, so we're in round 1. We lost the die roll, so we're going to be on the draw. This hand looks great. We have 2 mana dorks. We have Control Magic as well as Plow Under as some potential effects, and we're on the draw, so we're more likely to see some of those threats that are larger, maybe some of our Planeswalkers and things like that, that can help us stall the board and potentially win the game. So I'm pretty happy with this, especially if we draw one of our dual lands, a Yav Coast or a Flooded Grove. Those things would really help us out. So I'm pretty happy with this. Looks like my opponent has kept his hand, so we should be seeing his first turn. Right, Bloodstained Mire. Fetches. Finds a swamp. Taps it. Thoughtseize. Okay. So we're going to reveal my hand. If I were him, I guess you have options, right? You could either take one of our mana dorks, or you could take like Plow Under. I wouldn't be taking Control Magic most probably, unless he's on like a mid-rangey black deck. Plow Under to me is a very scary card, but I could see taking a dork as well. Especially if he has like a Fatal Push or something for the other dork, and then can really keep me off my mana ramp. That would be, yeah. So he takes Avacyn's Pilgrim, it looks like. All right, yeah. Okay, so oops, that was a misclick. So we're gonna play our forest. We're gonna play Boreal Druid rather, and pass the turn. Boreal Druid is probably the worst of the 1 mana dorks, in that it only hits for colorless, and given that there are no Eldrazi that require colorless in my cube, if I remember right, anymore. There used to be a World Breaker, but it has been retired. So Boreal Druid is not great, but what it can do is it can activate your filter lands, which is kind of nice. Okay, so a Bitter Blossom from my opponent. That's going to be kind of hard for us to beat. Tokens every turn is not exactly ideal for us. We're going to struggle to kill them faster than they can kill us, at least theoretically. That's kind of what they do, right? So I'm just going to cast my Round Up Excavator and start swinging with that. If we start getting in for damage, we can kind of clock them a little bit. Now he knows about Plow Under and Control Magic, but does not know about Confiscate or Yav Coast. So that's important to note. So, because he can play around those things. I mean, he can't really play around Plow Under in Rakdos. If he were on Grixis, maybe he could, but he is not. So there's just not a lot he can do against that. But he can play around Control Magic by playing crappier creatures and whatnot, in the same way that you can play around Counter Magic by playing worse spells to bait out the counter spell, right? So. Mardu Strike Leader, however, is not a bad creature, and I am very happy to steal that. It is the Black Rabblemaster, yeah, it's very good, and it's going to help us actually be able to race this Bitter Blossom. So when we steal that, we should be in a really good position. We steal it and we swing for 2 as well, which is a big deal. So. Muldrifter is a sweet turn next turn, but I'm going to steal this Strike Leader for now. Yeah, it should pretty much win us the game, so we'll see. We'll see what he does, though. I mean, it's possible that he has other outs, bigger things, and whatnot. Get you for 2. Puts him down to 14. And then next turn we get to start clocking with the Strike Leader. He can, of course, double block with the Fairy Token. But, let's see. I guess we don't have to attack with the Strike Leader either. That's true. We can just chip with the Ramadap Excavator until he's at a low enough life total to where that doesn't matter anymore. This being fairly casual, by the way. Things like missed beneficial triggers from the Bitter Blossom, I'm not going to worry about. It's different from Constructed in that you don't see these cards all the time. So, if you miss something, that just happens. He swung with his token, so now I get to get in with my Strike Leader, which is nice. I'm surprised he swung with it, to be honest, actually. Because, yeah, two of them blocks the Strike Leader really well. Whereas one of them, jumping, is not great. Alright, yeah, he can do it. Okay, so we saw the Bitter Blossom, and I think that warrants a Wicker Bow Elder. Other than that, not really think I need to do anything else. I think Harvester is still quite good. Glimmer of Genius, though, is medium. Oath of Jace is probably a little worse, though, in that it requires you to discard cards. So, yeah, I'm cool with that swap. Okay, so we're going to be on the draw again. This hand has no mana ramp, so it's a pretty obvious pitch. But we're going to let our opponent tell us whether or not they're keeping first. Even though it is casual, quote unquote, I'm still going to make proper plays and whatnot. This hand is great. We get to keep Boreal Druid into turn 3 Wickerbow Elder, or Control Magic if we draw an island. We're more probable to draw a forest, of course, because of the way we configured our mana. Our opponent mulling to 5. I don't expect what is that, like a... I don't expect that he's going to have a high chance of winning the game, especially on aggro. I'm going to move this island to the bottom, taking a little bit after LSV. If we were to draw that land and then draw another land, it would be pretty sad. But we put that land on the bottom and then drawing another land. We're fine with that. So that's kind of the philosophy behind that. In short, if you want to see more of his take on that, definitely watch his videos. I highly recommend watching LSV Draft, especially Cube. But any format, he's obviously one of the best. So. And of course, if you found yourself here on my channel, you're really scouring the depths for content. So you probably already know that, but you know, I do what I can to refer people to great players. All right, another land. So we're really happy that we scryed that to the bottom. We're going to swing for 1 here. We got nothing else to do. I think next turn we probably just play a tempo Wickerbow Elder. It's not amazing, but you know, it gives us a little bit more pressure. Abbott after playing land. It seems like a slight misplay, but you know, whatever. It's gonna resolve. And what is it? Exile. Okay, so it exiles Earthshaker Kenra. Not punished for, you know, playing the land, but you know, Earthshaker is quite good. So I'm okay with that being exiled. I guess we should just play our island here, or we play forest either way, but I'm just going to play this Wickerbow Elder. Kind of stalemates the board, hopefully-ish, you know, and presents a reasonable body, so... Incinerate. Okay. Okay. Kill my dude. Get me for 3. This is the aggro life. Get smacked in the face, but next turn we get to play our Thragtusk, so we don't really care that much. Yeah, Thragtusk is just stupidly powerful here. Yeah, I'll go ahead and fetch my Sunken Hollow. Thins my deck, fixes my blue mana. I'm not really in a hurry to get a ton of green mana out right now, so game 5, P to T. This is a pretty hard turn 4 for aggro to beat. I think it is beatable, but it's tough. I mean, it's just really tough. You have to use 2 resources on it. Your resources are already pretty stacked. Yeah, he conceded. And then we had, you know, Scavenging Ooze too to follow up and like eat some creatures and gain some life. Yeah, it's going to be a really tough matchup for him to win. So, all right, into round 2. All right, so headed into round 2. We lost the die roll again. This hand is Garbo. There's no ramp. All 5 or more CMC. It's pretty bad. This hand is much better. We have Birds and Utopia Sprawl. Some ramp payoffs. They're a little far down the curve, but I think that we have the potential to draw into them. Again, as I mentioned in the last game, I think that we want to put this delta on the bottom for the reason that if we draw another land, we're very happy. But if we don't, we're not that bummed in our next turn, considering that we're on the draw specifically. We have the capacity to potentially draw into something else, and we did draw into the land, so we're in an okay position. Okay, so I think we lead with turn 1 Sprawl. This gives us more mana next turn. It leaves us not vulnerable to Bolt, so if we draw a 3-drop, we can just play that 3-drop instead of having 2 mana sources and then having to do this next turn. So puts us in a slightly better position. Also, if we draw another thing next turn, we can just play a 2-drop as well as our birds. So we have the Falconwrath. It looks like we might be up against Reanimator. So we really want to value our speed here by playing our Bird's Paradise. That's pretty important. Opt, sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 mana next turn, so we can Oath of Jace, maybe draw some stuff, and then Woodfall Primus and all that stuff can come down and maybe eat like a Necromancy or Dance of the Dead if it needs to. Soulscar Mage, sure. So it doesn't look like Reanimator anymore. Now it looks like maybe some sort of Grixis aggro. Oh, wow. Okay. Dismember. Target my birds. Sure. Discard your Scalding Tarn, flip your Heir of the Falconwrath into a 3/2 flyer. Yeah. And from a cube design perspective, that's exactly why I included Heir instead of Olivia's Dragoon. Heir is a 3/2. When it flips, so while it's a little bit worse than Combo Reanimator, it's a lot better at fueling these kinds of aggro decks, and so that's kind of what I was looking for. I think we can pitch Yav Coast and Forest here. We have already a decent amount of green fixing, and I think Verdant Catacombs being able to fetch our other blue source is a little bit better, since Yav Coast is going to ding us every turn, and so won't. Okay, so this is looking a little scary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at my face. That stinks. And now I fetch, so 6 really. Sunken Hollow. Yay. I think there's a world where we just didn't keep the Verdant Catacombs, just kept the land. That's true. I'm going to play Tamiyo, and I don't think that we have enough space to tap something down here. So I think we just draw 2. Okay. So the thing is, if we tap something down, our Tamiyo dies anyway. We don't get any closer. Like, based on what we just drew there, we would have drawn land, and then just been dead, right? So this is still a scary attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because the Mentor. So yeah, unfortunately, we're just one shy of like having a Hornet Queen or something that could stabilize this board. We get a Scry with Oath of Jace. That's obviously garbage, so we'll put that on the bottom. Scavenging Ooze, it doesn't really get there, so when we could tap something down, we could also just draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. But what do we even have in our deck that can get us out of this? Yeah, I don't think there's any capacity for us to really get out of this. Even if we, like right now, we could tap something down and basically confiscate something and still not get there. So we should just concede. Was there anything? I mean, I guess we could have drawn to Thragtusk, but that doesn't even really save us because it only gains us 5 life. And I mean, I guess we could go like Thragtusk, Avacyn's Pilgrim. We have a blocker. We gain 5. We block 2 things. That's okay-ish, I guess. But anyway, so we're gonna take out Woodfall Primus. We're gonna bring in Nullhide Ferox, just earlier creatures. I think that Hornet Queen is still fine. Lifecrafter's Bestiary is really slow, so we're gonna cut that. And we added in Steel Hellkite there.
That is a hand with no lands, so that's an instant mulligan. Uh, this one's okay because we have the turn 3 Harvester, so I'll keep this. It's not ideal, and we did find it. That was my goal, was to find some sort of ramp source on top. So we did get there with the Sky Diamond. So that is helpful. That helps us get to a turn 4 Thragtusk, which means we can swing with our Harvester on 4, or block with it, which allows us to gain some life. So. Soul Scar Mage on 1. I think that card is really good. I like it particularly in this matchup, right, where you're playing against a mid-range deck, and if you want to burn something with 4 toughness, it may not kill it, but at least it makes it a 3/3, and then your creatures can trade with it, or just kill it, actually, which is nice. So, alright, so we have 2 energy counters. Got a Thragtusk on the way. He is stuck on mana, so Plow Under is a reasonable option, but I think that Thragtusk is going to be better next turn. In that it gains us 5, it allows us to crew our Aether Sphere Harvester. I don't think there's really much purpose in sitting on it, so I'm going to go ahead and fetch here. Just so that we're less likely to find a land incoming turn, since we need them less at this point with 5 mana, and another land in hands of 6, really. I know it's marginal, but since we're gaining 5 life, I think that the life loss is pretty minimal. Yeah, our opponent just concedes. Thragtusk plus Aether Sphere Harvester is very challenging. I think that going into the final game, I want to cut Confiscate and bring in Troll Aesthetic. And the reason for that is that Confiscate is just a little derpy, just a little slow against a deck like this, and Troll Aesthetic can help us block his stuff more or less indefinitely, which is great. We're going to board out Confiscate instead of Imbolus as clutches, because he could be running Cast Down, which makes Confiscate just a little bit weaker. It's like a small percentage, but that was my logic behind that choice. So here we are. Scalding Tarn, nothing. That's the first time he's not had a turn 1 play. No, that's not true. Game 1 he had Fetch into Smoldering Marsh, and then turn 2 he played Air of the Falconrat. This looks like it might be something similar. Air of the Falconrat, obviously very good against us. We don't have a ton of flying creatures. Bloodghast. Alright. Utopia Sprawl. Oops. I could have done that slightly better. So we could have tapped the birds to put it on the Utopia Sprawl on the land, and then cast my Aether Sphere Harvester. That was a slightly better play. But instead I'm just going to cast this Scavenging Ooze. So I think I could have done it slightly better, because the next turn he could use the Scoos to crew the Aether Sphere Harvester. Whereas now it can just die to removal, and then it can use it to crew things, and this birds cannot crew the Aether Sphere Harvester. So it was a suboptimal play, but I think that we'll still be okay, but never punished, right? Good at 18. Sure. Our turn. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. I'm not super high on control magicking a Stromkirk Noble per se. At least not with any counters on, or not with no counters on it. And I'd rather do it when it's a little bit bigger, if it can block something or something like that. So instead, I'm going to play this Aether Sphere Harvester. It makes any creature I draw more powerful. Yeah, I think that we're in an okay position this way. We have our 2 control magic effects that are in our deck currently in hand. Okay, so we played a Gaito encampment for his land for turn. It's a little bit slow, so it's good to note. We're going to take 3 here. Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 here. Because the bone splitter. And yeah, so now I think that I can play the control magic. Okay, so I'll play my Boreal Druid, and then I will follow up with control magic. Yeah, I think that I do control magic here. I'm like considering whether or not it's worth it, but I think that if I do take it, that forces him to re-equip 1, and 2, it gives us a way of crewing our Sphere Harvester without having to do too much work. So we definitely don't want the Blood Gas because it can't block, which is kind of the most important function. Condescend. Yikes. We could have played around that by playing control magic first, but really there's only Censor and Condescend that would counter for X equals 1, so really that turn we couldn't play around anything except for Censor and Condescend, I think, that are in the cube currently. So I don't think that we made a significant misplay there. I think that that's actually so marginal that it's not really even a misplay. Because actually, if our Boreal Druid were countered, there would be more upset than we were having gotten control magic countered. So he's playing Impulse, kind of, Shimmer of Possibilities, calling it Impulse, the same thing. Especially if he's casting his main phase, they would do the exact same thing. So, just passes the turn. That's interesting. Alright, so we didn't have to crew anything. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I cast my Hornet Queen here. That pretty much, clogs up the board to the point where he can't really get through. It's certainly going to make it much harder for him on the attacking front. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy to sit on this board state. I suppose he could have, like, Fiery Confluence. What does that do? That kills everything except for Hornet Queen. So if he went, like, Fiery Confluence, play a land, he kills everything except for Hornet Queen, including my Aether Sphere Harvester, deals 2 to me, and then brings back his Bloodghast. That's the biggest way in which I'd be punished, I think, here. Okay. Ultimate price on my Hornet Queen. Yep, Queen dies, sure. Anticipate. Sure, so it looks like he's a little light on lands here, which works out really well for us, because I would imagine that, well, I guess it really wouldn't matter, actually. Thinking about it, he's only got 2 cards in hand, so the amount of powerful things he can do are probably pretty limited. Jete. Alright, well, that's our Confiscate target. And the reason I say that is because it's really, this is board state that I have right now that I was really proud of, and that I think that can really secure the win here. It doesn't really win through Jete. Jete is a card that can actually really overturn this game very easily. So it's a card that we have to steal from him here. We can easily equip this to one of the Hornets and then start killing his creatures, and that should win the game for us. So yeah, played against two aggro decks. Won both games, or both rounds rather. Went 4-1 in games. So yeah, I think that overall this Simic list went pretty well. Um, Seeing if my opponent is scooping, if they can continue playing, taking their time here. Uh, yeah, they scooped. So they had opts, and their next few cards were basically dead. So, cool. Round two. Again, we struggled to get a round three here, so there's no round three. But let's head into that end of cube discussion. Okay, so both our round one and round two were against aggro decks. So the key cards in our draft against them were Aether Sphere Harvester and Thragtusk, hands down. Both cards, when they resolved, pretty much ended the game on the spot. Having a 5 to 6 life swing against aggro is huge. And they really struggle to come back from that, especially when our creatures, as we hit our late curve, are much bigger than theirs. It seemed that both decks struggled to either find early burn or ways of interacting with our mana dorks, which also helped us. And as you saw, when they did have interaction for our early mana dorks, like game one of my round two, it really hurt our chances of winning. If we could have gone Tameo on turn 4, I don't remember if I had that in hand or not, but if we went Tameo on turn 4 into, that draw, whatever, that makes a big difference. Or even just tapping down a creature, which was possible at that point. Maybe we could tap down like a Leech Warboss or something before they get all the massive board state. So the dismember on our birds was monumental in him winning that game. And slowing us down, right? And that's so I would think that if we had gotten around 3, maybe we play against something that's not aggro, and then maybe the fact that we'd have a little bit less removal than we usually like, right? Our only removal was Confiscate in Bolus's Clutches and Control Magic. So, maybe that shows up a little bit more, and that tests our deck in a different way. Overall, though, I was very happy with the way the deck went. We had 7 ramp sources, a lot of good payoff cards, and really, really reasonable mid-range stuff in the main board in order to kind of win the game. And then out of the sideboard, we had Troll Aesthetic for our control matchup, as well as Wickerbow Elder for things like artifacts and enchantments. I felt like we had an overall pretty well-rounded Simic list. And I was happy with the way the draft went. So, again, per usual, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and like and subscribe so that you can see us next time.